So welcome back, Earth space scientists and physicists, and today we are looking at the phases of the moon in the southern sky. So we've learnt previously that our moon is the satellite, our natural satellite that orbits around us here on Earth, and remember, it doesn't produce its own light, but essentially acts as a giant mirror and reflects sunlight from only one side, because you never see the dark side of the moon. So this means that the shape of the moon that we see back here on Earth changes every night. And we call these changes in the shape of the moon due to that illumination as the moon's phases. So the first phase to look at is the new moon. And essentially the new moon occurs when we cannot see the moon at all. It's completely dark. This happens because the moon is between the sun and the Earth. So therefore, the side facing us here on Earth is the dark side. The light side's facing the sun. And that new moon occurs about once every 29.5 days, around about a month. Then we have the waxing phases. So waxing means growing or increasing. So after the new moon, we start to see more of the moon's light side, the illuminated side, as it moves away from the sun. And the waxing phases are known as the waxing crescent, where we see a very thin sliver of light on the left side of the moon. That moves to the first quarter, where we see half of the moon lit up on the left side. Then finally the waxing gibbous, where we see more than half of the moon lit up on the left side, as we see here from this image. Then we have the full moon. And the full moon is when we see the entire bright side, the light side of the moon, completely illuminated. This happens when the moon is actually opposite the sun on the other side, and the side facing the Earth of the moon is therefore getting all the sunlight, so therefore it is bright and illuminated. And a full moon occurs about 14 days after a new moon, so basically halfway through the lunar cycle. Then we have the waning phases. So waning means shrinking or decreasing. So after the full moon, we start to see less of the moon's bright illuminated side as it moves this time back closer towards the sun. And the waning phases are the waning gibbous, where we see more than half of the moon lit up, this time on the right side. The third quarter, we see half the moon lit up again on the right side, opposite to the first quarter, which was on the left side. And finally, the waning crescent, which we see in this image, where we see a thin crescent of light on the right side of the moon. Okay, so that's known as the phases of the moon.